John Harbaugh might not be the most painful hire the Giants make. Let's talk about it here in Below the Belt, which is sponsored by D&M Leasing and Window Nation. You sneak, John Harbaugh. So we started getting chatter yesterday from the pretty Rickies of the world, Ricky Scoops, that he's saying, sounds like a badger maybe hanging out in the Meadowlands or going to the Meadowlands soon, and it's a dancing badger look. It's like, all right, well, that could be anybody, you know? It doesn't have to be Jim Leonhard, who has been the Cowboys' thought to be their top candidate entering this process. Well, he later follows up that tweet and goes, my mistake, didn't know. Apparently, Art Stapleton had already said something about this on SiriusXM this morning, so credit to him. So this is not just Ricky Scoops. This is also now Art Stapleton, who is a Giants beat reporter, one of the guys on top everything they do, who went on with Solomon Wilcots yesterday on SiriusXM and said, watch for Jim Leonhard to rapidly rise as like a serious candidate for John Harbaugh's defensive coordinator spot.
The guy's named Art anymore.
Yeah, that's Arthur, right? I mean, there's Arthur Smith.
Art the Clown.
Tim said something about someone named Art Mantaris last night on Fan After Dark. There's an Art bookie.
Oh, yeah, that was... we were going to talk about that during the break. I don't want to tattle on people, but that clock got just blown up with that guess. Went to break at 8:30. All right, so I just did it. I'd already said it. I'd already given up enough information. Might as well. That's the spectrum in me coming out. But Jim Leonhard, buzz now that he could be the top candidate in New York. He obviously played for the Jets, so I mean he's familiar with the area. But as we kind of talked about earlier in the show, you may just be looking at a guy who goes, "Yeah, I get to coach personnel that has some exciting pieces on it that I prefer over the ones that exist in Dallas."
Oh, well, personnel, it's not an argument. Who's got more dibs? That's in weighing the relationship. Is it definitely Harbaugh over Schottenheimer with Leonhard?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Harbaugh was his superior at one point, whereas Schottenheimer would have been on the offensive side of the ball. Like they would have seen each other.
Yeah.
But I mean,
hopefully Harbaugh, really like Zach Orr. You can take Zach Orr over there with you.
This is where Shotty needs to pick up the phone.
The charm.
And say, hey, Rex, I got you an interview here as a defensive coordinator. I got you the interview last year. I set you up.
Need you to call.
I need you to call your guy, because that is who Jim Leonhard talks in hushed tones about his reverence for Rex Ryan and everything that Rex Ryan did for him.
So on that note, I want to shout out Tolo Mike. He sent me this DM. Regarding y'all's discussion, Leonhard would surprise me somewhat because Harbaugh pivoted away. This is regarding Harbaugh's search. Leonhard would surprise him if he went to the Giants because Harbaugh pivoted away from the Rex Ryan, Wink Martindale scheme when he essentially fired Wink a few years ago. Leonhard's scheme would presumably be similar. Harbaugh pivoted to the Mike McDonald, by poaching him from Jim's Michigan staff. Jim then promoted Jesse Minter, an apprentice of McDonald. I would expect John Harbaugh to hire someone from that McDonald-Minter tree, possibly someone either from Seattle or the Chargers staff. What do you think about that?
It's possible. I don't.
Jim Leonhard's style mixed in with Rex, and then what he's experienced with Vance Joseph would be what?
So Vance Joseph is his own concepts and different things like that. Leonhard is not going to be like Wink Martindale. So that's not going to be the type of defense that he runs. He's not as blitz heavy. I don't think he's going to be as blitz heavy as Rex Ryan was. Like I think there will be some of that, but a lot of what he does is I've not played the clip yet because it takes some maturity that I think we're going to have to let the hire settle in a little bit if Jim Leonhard gets hired here. Of just like you hear Leonhard in coaching clinics also talk about like he likes to play off. He doesn't like to play a lot of press man. He doesn't like to be up there. And like so people get mad about off coverage and different things like that. So he has different concepts that are not the same as Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale is press him up and send everybody. Like that's very much the way that Wink looks at it. But I think that Leonhard would be a guy that they feel is just adaptable. Like they feel like he believes in a few things, but he's not rigid. And that he would be able to just adapt to whatever it is. And maybe he just looks at the Giants personnel and says, I like that better. Now, just because he played for John Harbaugh doesn't mean anything. As soon as he hit free agency, he left. And he went to the Jets to go play for Rex Ryan. That was clearly where his allegiance was. But one of the names that they interviewed.
Money whip, Jerry. Get out the pocketbook.
Christian Parker.
Money's no object. You don't need another dollar, you say. You wouldn't believe the check I'd write.
The check I'd write.
Christian Parker is 34 years old. He is the defensive passing game coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is the one who has been just praise heaped all over him for making Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Reed Blankenship, like turning those guys into the players that they've become. Gets a lot of credit for that. So I was looking around at some things. He already had a very strong reputation throughout the league. Vic Fangio loves him, kept him for 2 years in Denver, then brought him with him to Philadelphia for 2 more years. Before that, he worked with Mike Pettin in Green Bay, who thought very highly of him. Pettin obviously working as the defensive coordinator for the Jets when Schottenheimer was with the Jets. So not surprised that they would have an interest in a well-thought-of young defensive coach from a Fangio type of system. But I went ahead and looked up various articles that have been written covering his time when he was with the Packers, when he was with the Broncos, stuff when he was with the Eagles. And I found articles from Jeff Legwold at ESPN, Zach Berman at The Athletic. We also got another article from The Athletic. Ty Dunn from Go Long had some stuff. So there's all these different writers that have profiled him at various points during his career, and I think you get a nice picture. So I'm going to go through just some of the things that all of those articles together told us about Christian Parker. So he's worked in the NFL now for about 6 seasons, working mostly with secondary guys, but these are like the highlights of his style and beliefs. Number one, when he was with, this is from the Jeff Legwold piece, he is big on authenticity, preparation. He believes that's what earns players' trust. He said that you understand quickly, be authentic. Players can sense at the end of the day if you're trying to be something you're not or trying to get past a lack of preparation. You can't keep that act up for long. Fangio echoed that sentiment by emphasizing that age and resume were irrelevant once players determined whether a coach could help them improve. Parker said Fangio hired him expecting him to do the job at a high level regardless of how young he was. So, because that's been a question for some people, like, how are you coaching players who are the same age as you? How do you manage to do that? That's how big Christian Parker looks at that aspect of it. Over at The Athletic, in their article about him, Inside the Rapid Rise of Christian Parker, they said that Parker keeps extensive digital notebooks. He logs daily observations and organizes them by topic. He learned early in his career to catalog ideas, what worked, what didn't, and what he would do differently, so that when future opportunities arose, he could reference his own experiences instead of relying on memory alone. By the time he reached the NFL, Parker had built a personal database stretching back to his early college coaching days, allowing him to recall specific concepts, players, and situations from years earlier with precision. So if he's never seen it before and he encounters it, he logs it in his notebook of like, okay, this is what happened, this is how I handled it, and this is what the outcome was. So that he's got just a record of, I don't have to remember if I've dealt with this situation before. I know how I dealt with it, and this is what my experience was. How did you guys see it? One of the big things for Christian Parker as well, from The Athletic, he's big on, do not think that players are just learning from you. You need to learn from players. So you need to learn about them and their process. So he said one of the biggest lessons he learned early on was learning directly from veteran players like Tramon Williams. He said Williams had a set weekly process for film study that Parker began studying closely. He recognized that elite preparation often comes from the players themselves. So Parker began asking each player on defense about their personal baseline process, and then he started structuring the meetings to complement, not override, but complement that approach. His goal became consistency in what the group emphasized while allowing individual players to prepare in ways that suited them best. So he's saying, how do you learn? How do you prepare? How do you feel comfortable? Okay. We'll do it that way, but we're going to teach you these concepts, and this is the work you have to do, but I will tailor the work for the way that you prefer to learn, and that's how we'll tackle it. He is very big on, you remember the Jimmy Johnson line? Do you treat all your kids the same? Right. No, you don't. Parker described his philosophy as coach and treat everyone fairly, but not the same, explaining that each player processes information differently. Some thrive on being challenged publicly in meetings, while others respond better to one-on-one correction. Building trust across the room includes rookies, Pro Bowlers, and veterans older than him, and it requires learning how much each individual thinks and tailored instruction accordingly. So, all pretty positive to this point. Feeling good about this. I mean, this sounds very much like a lot of the stuff with Jim Leonhard.
Yeah.
He is very big on demanding engagement from players. So it's like when you turn into
sounds like the total opposites of Eberflus.
Show me your work. you give the answer. All right, let me see the work.
Oh, I hate that.
So
Vrabel would do that.
I hate those teachers.
Parker runs meetings that resemble, this is from Ty Dunn at Go Long. Parker runs meetings that resemble the classrooms he enjoyed as a political science major. Players are frequently asked to explain concepts, challenge ideas, or defend adjustments. Nobody is allowed to sit quietly and coast. Parker believes this approach exposes gaps in understanding while also building trust because players see that their teammates are prepared and accountable. So if you say, hey, this is what, it may be the right answer that you just gave in a meeting. He's going to go, why? But why is that the right answer? Do you actually know?
None of your business how I got there.
Another big thing, this is that came out of all the articles, really, but he is viewed really, really favorably by long-term veteran, highly thought-of coaches. Mike Pettin had said that Christian Parker stood out immediately during the Packers hiring process. He noted that he was mature. He said he was incredibly organized. Said his ability to synthesize information under pressure was really, really impressive. A bunch of different coaches in these articles had recognized that he wasn't just capable of executing tasks. He understood how everything fit together. So it's not just, here's the concept and what we're supposed to do, but he understood each individual part of it, how it all came together, and that was something that his reputation really followed him that way to Vic Fangio, and that's why Fangio fell in love with him and kept giving him more and more responsibility. So if you're talking about guys who have developed reputations as teachers, really advanced thinkers, guys who are Sean Lee, high IQ, brilliant processors who really understand the game, that's Christian Parker. And Christian Parker said since he was young, he wanted to get into coaching because he just loved seeing the way everything comes together and how it all interacts with each other.
Give me your list outside of Leonard. You cannot name Leonard, Gannon, or Flores.
Mm-hmm. Of who I would want to hire or who I think it could be.
No, who you would want. Top three.
I can't say those guys.
1A.
Cannot.
1A, 1B, Christian Parker, and Jeff Ulbrich.
Okay. What about the Giants assistant?
So it's interesting. They've interviewed two guys that were not secondary coaches, and he's one of them. He's an outside linebackers coach. I do wonder if some of that's they're just trying to feel out whether he could be somebody that they bring onto staff. I don't know how much he's actually like a coordinator thought.
Raheem Morris, still number one for me.
Still number one.
I just want somebody who's going to be here for a while.
But yesterday you sent in your email that continuity was overrated.
Yeah, there's an element to that that is overrated. But I think there's a difference between continuity being overrated and changing somebody out every year.
Why not Ulbrich? Like, if you want Raheem, why not? Ulbrich's not getting hired away anytime soon, and he's coached with White Cotton. Like, you could have the same continuity, the same concepts, and he coached the defense last year.
Fine with him.
So, I think Ulbrich makes a lot of sense. I think they are waiting around to see if he gets retained in Atlanta. If he doesn't, I think they will give him an interview.
But I don't think Raheem's getting a head coaching job.
No, I don't.
I guess there's not 8 or 9.
I don't think he's on their list. Like,
why?
whether he wants to be a head coach or not, I just don't think he's on their list.
Why?
I think they would rather go to the guys who coach the defense directly. Raheem's got a very varied background, and he very well could get hired away again at some point.